the road will never be easy. If it's easy, it's not really worth anything, to be honest. The only thing that matters is that I feel like if you keep going and you try to do your best and you always try to be one step, in one foot in front of another, being okay with not always getting what you want.
Kebanyakan orang ketika memilih belajar di Amerika Serikat, mereka akan memilih jurusan-jurusan yang umum atau yang favorit sekali yang dipilih. Misalnya seperti computer science, ada engineering, terus sebagian orang memilih psychology. That's true at one point. Kenapa? Karena prospeknya sungguh luar biasa sekali. Tapi ada sebagian orang, they look very niche and targeted in terms of their major, misalnya seperti musical and performance. And the question is, why they want to do that musical and performance in the United States, right? Sebagus apa sih sebenarnya Amerika Serikat untuk program musical, performance, literature, and everything, something like that. But we're so happy to get some answer for that questions. That's why we have hari ini kita ada Edith Widayani. She's a pianist, she's a performer, she's an educator, she's also music advocate. Edith sendiri sempat kuliah di Amerika Serikat di Eastman School of Music, University of Rochester, di program Musical Art and Performance. And she also produced 2 awesome albums. Yang pertama adalah Imagination, and the second one is Memories. And last year, she performs. Jadi tahun kemarin Edith perform bersama Symphony Orchestra merayakan 75 tahun Indonesia sama Amerika, gitulah hubungan. And the last one, she also right now the president of the World Piano Teacher in Indonesia. We're gonna have conversation with Edith, bagaimana proses kreatifnya dan bagaimana Edith create a career in Indonesia dan di Amerika. So welcome, Edith.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, by the way. How are you doing?
Great. I'm great.
What have you been up to?
Well, actually, as later on today.
Sibuk banget kayaknya ya.
Well, later on today, we're actually hosting WPTA Indonesia, World Piano Teachers Association Indonesia, together with American Spaces. We're going to have an event at America Pacific Place later today, hosting one of my good friends, Ayunia Indri Saputro, yang sekarang sedang menyelesaikan kali ya, gitu loh maksudnya. She's doing her doctorate degree program at University of Michigan Ann Arbor, dan dia bawa profesornya dari University of Michigan nanti malam. Jadi kita nanti malam ada konser nih.
Oke.
Aku sih cuma moderator aja nanti.
Oke.
Untung ya.
So it seems like you're so busy dengan kegiatan-kegiatan, performance juga, terus teaching juga dan segalanya. Oke, berarti ini mengajar piano dengan untuk segala level atau gimana nih?
Iya, mengajar piano. Iya, jadi right now I've been back in Indonesia for a couple years, a few years lah, gitu kira-kira. Dan ya kehidupannya di sini mungkin macam-macam kali ya. Jadi saya masih tetap perform. Almost regularly lah, almost every month pasti kita ada performance. And then kita ngajar almost every day. Itu students from the age of, my youngest now is like 6 years old.
Wow.
Up until like my oldest one is like 75 right now.
Okay. Can you include me on that?
Boleh, nanti kita bisa ngomong. Tapi teaching juga, and then with the WPTA we're also hosting a couple of programs. Jadi contohnya yang kayak gini-gini, nanti hari Sabtu juga kita ada panel discussion, and we're also hosting a masterclass at America. Tapi juga kita juga sekarang ngerjain, me and a couple of friends through WPTA, kita juga ngerjain program sertifikasi guru-guru piano untuk guru-guru piano di Indonesia. Gitu. Jadi
so extremely busy.
Many plates.
Okay, so let's start a conversation like this. Okay, take us back. Kembali lagi beberapa tahun yang lalu nih, Edith ya. So when you realize that the music is something that you want to do that seriously, when was that? And is that something like a turning point atau memang kayak kayak like a quiet decision you get, like kayak step by step Okay, tell us about that.
Okay, so in the beginning, I sebetulnya belajar piano itu, obviously kalau misalnya anak masih kecil dipaksa orang tua ya. Nggak ada kayaknya anak yang out of nowhere kayak umur 3 terus kayak, ayo mau belajar piano gitu kan. Nggak mungkin gitu loh maksudnya. Who wants to practice? Kids just wants to play. Jadi dulu memang dipaksa. Aku dan to be honest,
Okay.
and to be honest, I think I'm very grateful to my parents for forcing me. Karena kalau misalnya dulu nggak dipaksa ya kita nggak jadi sekarang lah gitu, nggak ada aku yang sekarang. Tapi in the beginning it was miserable.
What year at that time?
I was 3.
3.
So that was like, aduh jadi
Such a
langsung
long
ketahuan
time.
umur. That's more than 30 years ago.
Okay.
Tapi the idea of it was just like they originally did not think that they want their daughter to be a musician. Ya di mana-mana kayaknya orang tua cuma ya seperti anak-anak zaman sekarang ya. Kalau les kan banyak. Nanti sebentar les berenang kan belum tentu mau jadi atlet gitu loh, maksudnya mau jadi atlet renang kan belum tentu. Sama, ini juga di lesin piano bukan karena anaknya mau disuruh jadi pianis gitu loh maksudnya. Cuma over the course of the years as I was doing competitions dan segala ini itu dan dilihat sama guru-gurunya actually yang kind of saw that I have probably potential to do something about this. And then mereka jadinya yang nge-push. Both of my parents, my mom is a doctor, medical doctor. My dad is a sarjana mesin dari ITB. Jadi kayak dua-duanya nih anak IPA mentok. Aduh udah nggak bisa.
Ini
udah
anaknya agak keseni-seni
iya, agak
gitu.
rada nggak nyambung
Ya,
gitu loh
bener-bener.
maksudnya. Cuma memang awalnya kayak gitu. Cuma in the beginning as I keep on doing piano, walaupun udah sempat quit beberapa kali, tapi terus udah gitu dipaksa untuk tidak boleh quit. Again, peran orang tua ya besar. Tapi up until a certain point, and then I find the joy of it.
Okay.
Jadi kan kadang-kadang memang unless you're good at something, you don't really find the joy in doing something.
Setelah berapa lama and you just feel the joy?
I want to say that it's probably 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Tapi no, don't get me wrong ya. Maksudnya it wasn't that it wasn't enjoyable at all. Tapi mungkin
You start enjoying that.
I start enjoying it, like really enjoying it, probably like 10 years into the process. Dan ketika udah kesana, it's really difficult to actually go back because it feels like, aduh kayaknya ini sih gitu loh maksudnya.
Kayaknya nih bakal I'm gonna spend my whole career.
Betul. And I feel like when you find that enjoyment, kan you know like if you enjoy your work, you don't have to work a day in your, you know like this type of thing. And then I was just like, iya ya kenapa nggak ngerjain ini aja gitu loh maksudnya. At that time kita boro-boro kepikir mau sekolah musik itu kayak apa, ini kayak gimana. Also, coming from both parents yang completely anak IPA, mereka nggak ada bayangan sama sekali kan nyekolahin anak musik itu apa, ngapain, gimana gitu loh maksudnya. Jadi at that time, I came to my dad actually when I was 14-ish, 14, 15. And then I bilang sama dia, kayaknya I mau sekolah musik aja deh. Jadi itu tuh pas kelas 3 SMP lah gitu kira-kira.
How was your parents responded at that time?
Well, and my mom was like, hah? Gimana? What? Hey? What? Who? Hah? Loh, kan cuma, loh gimana? Gitu.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of questions.
A lot of questions.
Okay.
Dan to be honest, even until today, I think semua orang kayak, sekolah musik, you mau makan apa ntarnya gitu. I think everyone always have that questions. Tapi, thankfully, I have very supportive parents, dan my dad actually mungkin lebih visionary kali ya untuk orang tua di zamannya mungkin gitu. Terus dia pas itu bilang gitu, kamu beneran mau sekolah musik? Iya. Terus dia bilang gitu loh maksudnya, you can, I will support you, I will find you a place to go. Tapi katanya sebelum kita cari tempatnya, but I want you to really think about this gitu loh maksudnya. You beneran serius atau enggak?
Okay.
If you're serious, we're gonna go all in. Tapi dia bilang, you have to be able to promise me that you will be one of the best pianists this country has ever seen. Kalau you promise you're gonna be one of the best, we'll support you. Kalau you cuma cuma ya udahlah pengen ini aja, nggak usah, susah hidup lo gitu katanya, ntar bakalan susah katanya gitu. Jadi nggak usah katanya gitu. But if you really want to work really really hard and really really serious about this and be one of the best, then go for it. We will support you to be one of the best. Dia bilang lagi, nggak muluk. Dia nggak bilang terbaik di sedunia, enggak. Gak usah terbaik sedunia, kita mah gak muluk-muluk, kata gitu. Ya terbaik, ya se-Indo aja gitu deh, katanya gitu loh. Kita
tapi
tuh bukan
muluk-muluk juga.
Ya muluk-muluk sih sebetulnya, ya Indo orangnya banyak gitu loh maksudnya. Cuma ya, tapi maksudnya masih dalam parameter yang I mungkin ngerasa as a 15-year-old. I mean, and you know, as a 15-year-old, and you won some competitions before, or you did well in certain endeavors, then you feel like you actually have, bisa kali ya,
kayaknya
bisa deh, kayaknya bisa gitu loh maksudnya. Tapi again ya, maksudnya I also think that my parents somehow like they believe in me, probably even more than I believe in myself at that time gitu loh maksudnya. Jadi kayak ya mungkin harus dikasih kayak gitu juga, namanya anak umur 15 kayaknya kalau nggak dikasih parameter hahaha gitu kan maksudnya. Jadi nggak jelas juga gitu tujuannya mau kemana gitu. So at that time we find schools and all of those type of stuff. I ended up not finishing my high school actually. I did not finish my formal high school. I went directly to a music high school, and then I ended up in the States, and then I stayed in the States for 10 years. Jadi S1, S2, S3, S1 4 tahun, S2 2 tahun, S3 4 tahun.
My next question.
Yes.
Why States for music?
Why States? Well, there are a lot of different alasan ya. Alasan tuh kayaknya menurut aku nggak pernah cuma satu. Karena a lot of the times we talk about the reason why somebody goes somewhere for school. Alasan pertama pasti ada hubungannya dengan edukasinya. Is it the type of education that I look for? Jawabannya memang iya. Tapi terus udah gitu memang banyak variabel-variabel lainnya. Contoh, I already know my teacher before I went to the States.
Okay.
Jadi I met him before. He was the one that encouraged me to apply to his school. He helps me. He helped me get my scholarship. He assists me a lot in the application process, the audition process. He was very caring. I feel like also he's the type of person that can mentor me very well. Because with music especially ya, maksudnya hubungan antara dosen sama mahasiswa tuh kita dekat. Kenapa? Karena kita setiap minggu ketemunya ya sama orang ini, ketemu every single week if not more for 4 years, and then you're always in one-on-one situation with them. Kan kita selalu tuh kan belajar piano itu kan satu guru satu murid. Jadi kalau kita personality-nya nggak klik, waduh, gedubrak langsung.
You find your own mentor.
Yes.
So
when I was doing my high school, my teacher was recruiting. And then so we met during his trip, and then he did what we call a master class, which is what's going to happen on Saturday. He did what he called a master class. So he gives lessons to like students of that particular school. And then setelah itu, dan dia kan mungkin juga ngeliat ya, oh kayaknya I suka nih sama yang si murid ini, oh kayaknya I suka deh sama murid yang itu. Mungkin yang itu harus I tawarin ya sekolah di tempat I gitu loh maksudnya. Jadi they're also recruiting, which is great. Karena kadang-kadang kalau misalnya susah harus dapat yang pasnya itu tuh menurut aku it's very crucial in your development as not only as a musician but also as a human being. You're an early adult gitu kan, maksudnya going into a higher ed institution gitu loh maksudnya. Jadi it shapes who you are as a person as well.
Got it. Okay, so before you decided to study in United States, and then you mentioned that I find something from United States that's what I want. What actually you want at that time, and then you decided to study in United States? Okay,
jadi sebetulnya ini adalah kebetulan yang sangat amat kebetulan. Karena kalau misalnya mau dibilang option aku adalah apa? Option A itu nggak banyak pas mau ambil sekolah. Kenapa? Karena let's say misalnya banyak orang juga yang ngambil musik misalnya ke Europe. Tapi kalau ke Europe kan you have to learn another language. I already learn English. I already know English.
1 point plus.
1 point plus. Udah nggak perlu belajar bahasa lain kan, gitu loh maksudnya. Dan on top of it adalah karena at that time I feel like this was back in the 2000. I tuh pergi ke US 2008.
Jadi long time ago. Long time ago.
Langsung berasa umur, men. Tapi itu tahun 2008 dan I think the reason why the States was such a huge attractive, it's an attractive place to go is because of the opportunities. I think online, everything that was online itu baru mulai. Ketika tahun-tahun segitu tuh kayaknya semua iPhones were just starting. Can you believe it? Jadi kayak I feel like the chance of being there at the cusp of thing flourishing. Jadi kayak dulu tuh kita kan tau lah pada zamannya kan kita kalau dengerin musik aja kan CD apa segala ini tuh. Jadi kayak the interaction between music and tech that's starting, and where does it start? US. The opportunity that it will bring adanya di mana? US. All of those type of things happens there. Tapi more than just that, I think my previous teacher was also a very big part of this, is that he showed me the difference between, jadi pas I lagi ngerjain high school kan obviously I have a teacher also there, and then I met him, and then he was so much more open-minded. He encourages me to think on my own. Jadi biasanya tuh kalau kita di Asia, as terrible as this will sound, everything is very top down. Let's be honest lah, kalau kita ngomongin soal education, guru pasti benar, murid yuk ngikut aja. Modelnya kan banyakan seperti itu ya. Even until now, banyakan seperti itu. Tapi my teacher, the one in the States, he shows me that there are other ways to discover something. Gimana caranya, how to think about this thing, how to think about that thing. If you see something like this, how should you think to get to a particular way of, misalnya contoh kalau kita ngomongin musik, if I talk a little bit of examples misalnya. Kalau kita ngelihat notnya kan cuma hitam di atas putih, udah gitu aja. That's it. Ya udah, informasi apa yang you bisa ambil dari sana? That's it kan. Rata-rata yang bisa diambil adalah yang kelihatan on the page. But what's beyond the page? How should you ask
Translate
those
that.
type of questions? Tapi again, kita nggak bisa dapat jawabannya kalau kita nggak even tahu gimana caranya kita bertanya. Gimana caranya untuk how to inquire about this. Kenapa ini begini? Kenapa itu begitu? Do you know why this is this way? Do you know why certain composer write this way and certain composer write that way? Yang kayak gitu-gitu, kita langsung kayak, what? Wait, you can question this?
So, do you think that United States encourages students to be a critical thinker?
Yes, definitely.
Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. And to be honest, kalau misalnya menurut aku memang even just prepping for SAT misalnya, it encourages you to think so much outside of the box. You have to be able to connect different things. You cannot just know one thing and then expect that to be the answer. You can't. You have to be able to like connect to so many different other things. And I think that was what shapes me as a person. I mean, when you spend very apa ya? Well, it's a big increment of my life. 10 years is not a small period of amount of time, but then you also spend, well, I spend most of my adulthood technically dari 18 sampai 28 itu di US. It really shaped the way that I think, the way who I am as a person, the way my insights works, and all of those connections that I think otherwise I would not be able to connect so many different things or be as creative or apa ya, lebih ke arah cara pikir juga sih ya.
Okay.
I mean, music is supposed to make you creative in the first place.
Right.
Tapi it has become not creative with the way of education karena it's so much easier to just tell the students what to do instead of asking them questions and them throwing back things that not what you want. Itu memang lebih lama kan prosesnya. Tapi memang I feel like it really do shape who you're becoming and who your students are becoming too.
Got it. Okay, so my next question is how much you think that the U.S. education shape you is not only as performers but also as a tool, like a storytelling, a social change. Ya nggak sih? Karena
Yes,
ini
benar
kayak,
banget.
as you mentioned, it's not only about just play piano and that's it. No, but it's more than that.
Yes.
How United States really changed that, the way how you think about that?
Well, I think you can learn about the knowledge, but you have to also learn how to use your knowledge to be able to.
That's nice.
You have to know how to use the knowledge. What's the point of knowing the knowledge but not being able to actually use it for something good? So the US really shaped me in a way karena mereka actually bikin I sadar gitu loh maksudnya. No matter how good you are on stage, you're only as good as how you carry yourself. You have to be able to connect with people. That's also something yang menurut aku, to be honest, even at schools, we have public speaking class. We have personal, professional, apa ya bilangnya ya, dulu tuh development class lah gitu istilahnya. Jadi you have to be able to carry yourself. You have to be able to talk about things well. As an educator, for example, sama ketika aku lagi ngerjain S3, how do you present yourself in front of students? Your students are 18-year-olds. They know how to command respect, how to be able to address different things in different situation. Those type of things matters because you can have all the knowledge, but if you don't know how to deliver it,
that's nice.
It's just masuk kiri keluar kanan pasti. Then if you want to be in education, you have to want to inspire. You can't just...
That's what you do right now as a teacher.
I hope so.
You do not only teach students about how to play piano, but also how to use that.
Yes. And I really want them to be able to see this as a tool for their own development. It's more than just like tang ting tong, okay, I bisa main, okay, I menang kompetisi. What for? So what?
What next?
What's next?
Okay.
What does have... Itu efeknya apa ke diri mereka sendiri itu sebetulnya apa? Music is so much more than just winning competitions. I would like to think that. Music is so much more than just winning competitions. Music is so much more than just a degree. Banyak juga yang bilang, aduh ngapain sih sekolah musik aja sampai harus S3? No, I completely... Again, the road is not for everyone. But for me, personally, I really do see the benefit of it. Then it's not just that I play better. It's part of it too. I mean, if you said that you learn music and then you don't play well, kayaknya itu ada sesuatu yang salah juga nggak sih? Itu pasti ada sesuatu yang salah juga gitu loh maksudnya. Tapi it's how you connect all of those type of things together. How do you connect the knowledge to your own playing? How do you connect your knowledge to teaching? How do you connect your playing to your teaching? Itu kan semuanya sebetulnya interconnected ya. Dan kayak synapses, it's like your brain synapses. Like it has to all work together in order for you to be able to create something good. Dan itu juga sih sebetulnya yang kayak even after udah selesai S3 pun akhirnya I tetap ngambil kayak graduate diploma setahun lagi.
What is it for?
It's called the Global Leaders Program. It's a US based program too. But they are trying to they're trying to train musicians on how to use their artistry to use music as a vehicle for social change. Jadi banyak banget terinspirasi dengan apa yang dilakukan di Amerika Selatan. Itu juga biasanya banyaknya programnya juga program-program dari US yang dibikin di South America. It's how to empower the local communities and how, for example, like orchestra can help anak-anak yang misalnya daripada mereka, apalagi kalau misalnya South American, for example, mereka kan banyak banget isunya adalah either drugs or violence or guns or those type of things. And then kids, after they go home from school, if poverty is one of the biggest concern, then the parents are not home. Jadi anak-anak ini kan gak ada activity-nya ya. So they create an orchestra, they train those kids. Itu with Gustavo Dudamel actually. I think he used to be the conductor for the LA Philharmonic. But these kids create music and good music. And they learn community, they learn ensemble, they learn how to be a part of a bigger, community. They form their own community, they learn together. It's such a heartwarming thing to see. And that was huge back when I was in the States. And I was just like, this is something that we should be using. Bukan, it's not, orang selalu kalau mikir musik, apalagi kalau klasik, palace museum music, very disconnected with the reality of what life is right now. I agree. It has been so disconnected with what happens in real life. But how do you connect it back to real life? Okay. How can this create a positive impact? How does music education create positive impact? And that's also the thing gitu loh. Maksudnya mungkin kita kalau mikir mungkin kalau di sini masih ada jauh kali ya kalau misalnya mau mikir sampai sana.
You start thinking to do that.
Pengennya. Ini kita kan boleh berandai-andai ya namanya ya gitu loh. Maksudnya punya aspirasi kan boleh gitu maksudnya. Cuma aku beneran mikir bahwa memang kadang-kadang it comes from the most unlikely places. When I first start going to the States, do I think that I would be doing all of this type of things? No. What was in my mind? Practice. That's it. I just want to practice. I just like playing piano. Tapi the way that when I was there for 10 years, and then it shaped so much of how we think, who we are as a person, what we can contribute to society. Yang kayak gitu-gitu, and the best part about it is I get to do it doing something that I love.
Exactly.
So it's
point,
udah kayak
right?
hits everything gitu kan.
Yeah.
Tapi ya memang I don't know ya, maksudnya fulfillment, trying to have meaning, purpose in your life, the value that you carry, I think that's important gitu loh. Dan mungkin kalau misalnya sekolahnya di tempat lain ya,
you don't get it.
Nggak kepikiran sampai sini gitu.
Okay, so people just, I think because not a lot of people go and study for music and art and stuff like that. So if you can share just a little bit about how that the typical of the musical classes program, what you guys do every day, or a day a life of Edith when you were studying.
When I was in, okay.
What did you do?
Biasanya kalau dulu this was like part of my like last year's doing my doctorate over there at Eastman was very fun. Not only karena I belajar tapi I juga ngajar. Jadi kita kalau misalnya udah graduate student di US kan usually we get a graduate assistantship. We were teaching assistants. I actually even got my own class back when I was at Eastman.
Wow.
Jadi kayak apa namanya? I was entrusted to carry my own class.
You handled.
I handle everything. I create my own syllabus. I make grading and all of this type of stuff. It's a lecture class twice a week, 1.5 hours, which is very, very exciting. That was one of the many responsibilities that I was privileged enough to be given. Jadi biasanya bangun jam 6:30 pagi kali ya gitu. Karena biasanya kita jam 8:30 itu udah ngajar. Biasanya jadi pagi itu biasanya I always teach. Either it's theory, either it's history, music history, or my class which is keyboard literature at that time. Terus begitu itu biasa pagi itu udah langsung full with teaching, and it's usually class. Jadi kayak biasanya I meet up with the undergrads. One against like I want to say 10-15 students in one class. Jadi dari pagi sampai siang tuh biasanya ngajar dan koreksi PR.
As a teacher,
you have to. It's all of those homeworks. I have to like really get everyone's homework graded. Dan biasanya kalau udah siang, and then kita baru mulai tuh biasanya itu kelas aku sendiri. Jadi untungnya graduate level classes is usually in the afternoon. Yeah. So it's all of my classes. I have my lessons, I do my classes. I practice, and then I was also a collaborative pianist at the school back then. So I have 5 partners, singers and instrumentalists that I have to play with. Jadi biasanya kalau misalnya mereka ada lesson, then I have to go to their lesson, or if they have like performance, I have to play for their performance. Those type of things. So it's a lot of collaboration. And it's actually really funny coming from a pianist because biasanya pianis itu kita mainnya sendiri.
Tapi ini kolaborasinya
ini kolaborasinya banyak banget. Dan I feel very, very thankful too because I feel like Eastman gave me all the tools, I want to say that prepped me for the real world. Karena in real world, not every single one of us will be touring. Kita nggak jadi world class pianist yang every single day we just go from one hall to another. The reality of being a musician is that you're more than just your playing. So this is everything gitu loh maksudnya. Jadi pengalaman ngajar ini. Abis selesai ngajar biasanya udah jam 5. Abis selesai all of my activities is usually around 5. I practice. Usually kalau misalnya malam masih ada konser, that means that I have to play for the concert. And then after that I have to prep for the next day's class. Jadi karena ngajarnya kan always every single day ya. Jadi biasanya pulang-pulang ya jam 11 malam.
Do you enjoy that?
I love it. It's crazy. Mungkin kalau sekarang dipikir, how did I survive that? Gitu loh, maksudnya kok bisa gitu loh dulu. Tapi dulu ada aja gitu energinya. Tapi I think again, balik-balik lagi, when you do something you love and you meet people that is just as passionate as you are doing all of this type of things. Even sometimes muridnya ada yang nyebelin aja. Tapi ya, that's the reality of life.
You do what you love.
Exactly.
Nggak berasa waktu berjalan.
Nggak berasa. Sampai udah 10 tahun.
So you mentioned that you spent the whole 10 years in the United States, right?
Yes.
And I believe that was there a time that you wanted to give up? I believe that you have that, right? So what kept you going? Apa yang membuat kamu itu bisa berjalan dan bertahan di sana? What event?
I actually got to my lull moment was my 3rd year of undergrad.
Where was that? Is that at Eastman or no?
No, that was still at Texas Christian University School of Music. And I think the reason why was because so piano is not something that you can take one day and then give up another day and then pick it back. So ever since I started piano from the age of 3, I have never stopped playing piano. Jadi tadi aku bilang beberapa kali pengen berhenti les aja nggak dibolehin gitu kan sama orang tua. Jadi dari umur 3 sampai umur 21 itu it was tough. Jadi kayak nggak ada berhentinya ya barang sedikit juga ya. Nggak ini ya, nggak gimana ya ini segala ini itu. No, actually, it was 20. I remember that very, very vividly. It was in my 3rd year of my undergrad. I was 20, and then I was in a very, very bosan, capek, pokoknya nggak demotivated banget. Dan it's really terrible because I know that I have responsibilities, but I just felt like at that time I was just like, oh my God, why did I pick this? Like what?
Okay, you questioned that.
I questioned that as well. I should have think of something else. I should have majored in 2 things so then I don't get bored. Blah 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 blah. Tapi I think it was just ya mungkin emang ada momen-momennya ya gitu loh maksudnya. Especially when you've been doing something for so long, you forgot why you do it. You do it because you love it, sure, but then you forget the long game. Jadi kayak you're just focused on what happened right now, and then what happened right now is
you forgot about the thing that kept future.
Yes, exactly. And then so I focus on what's happening right now, and what's happening right now is not very exciting. I still remember it very, 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 very clearly that it was in October of 2010, and then there's. As a pianist, we watch big competitions online. At that time, makanya baru bisa online nonton kompetisi. And then I remember I watched a competition in Poland. It was one of the biggest competitions in the world. Even now, even today, it's still one of the biggest competitions in the world. And then I remember one person playing there. Actually, she ended up winning the competition. But I remember seeing her play. And from a screen, I was not even there. And I can feel how strongly she felt at that moment. Padahal through a screen. Dan itu kayaknya momen dimana it all click back. Jadi kayak, karena it's really hard to stay inspired. There will always be a moment where you're tired. There's always going to be a moment where you're demotivated. There's always a moment where you're like lazy. There's a bored. Itu pasti akan selalu ada dong. Gak mungkin kita every single day is always like exciting. Gak mungkin gitu loh maksudnya. And I felt like I needed that extra kayak ditampol dari luar gitu loh. Dan that was one of the moments yang I was like, man, I cannot imagine kalau I di sana apa rasanya ya being in that presence of how can human connect like this through a screen on the other side of the world doing things yang I nggak even kenal loh orang ini siapa gitu loh maksudnya. But at that moment I kind of was reminded of how strong the connection that music can establish between human. Kalau orang yang nggak I kenal, even sampai sekarang aja kayak masih berasa gitu, maksudnya emosinya tuh masih ada gitu. Tapi at that moment I was just like, that was it. I forgot that this connects people. I forgot that this is so powerful. Kadang-kadang kita fokus ke nitty-gritty-nya yang kecil-kecil, yang semuanya yang harus dikerjain. and then you forgot what you're doing this in the first place. You forgot what made you love this in the first place. And I think that's also the thing is because I felt like music has that ability to connect people in a way that you nggak kenal juga, tapi somehow that connects you. It has that ability. Nah ini yang ya udah akhirnya nggak jadi. Kayak I want to be able to connect with people that way. Dan that has been going on ever since gitu loh maksudnya. Jadi memang mungkin harus ada ya the catalyst moment gitu loh maksudnya, bahwa this is kayak di terus nyadar lagi gitu.
Okay, so a lot of people ask questions you as a musician ya. Tadi Adit juga menyebutkan apain sih musik? So is it something that I can be my whole career atau gimana? Apalagi lo and you take doctorate program in the United States for music. How do you handle rejection, criticism, and bilang I think that's worthless. How do you handle that?
Well,
nggak gampang kan?
Nggak gampang, no, for sure. Dan to be honest, in the beginning, everyone always like to see the final product. They don't see what goes on behind it. Then, to be honest, and I'm very open with this too, with my students, with my friends, the fact that I fail way more than I succeed. Tapi kan kalau kita nggak keep going ya goodbye aja gitu loh maksudnya. For every one competition that I won, I probably lost 15. For every school that I got in, I was also rejected. Iya kan, kita nggak bisa, we cannot have it all gitu loh maksudnya. And it's something that I feel, especially with social media right now, it's really difficult to grasp that idea of being okay with not always getting what you want, or not always be perfect. And I feel like it's just part of being human. And I think music is definitely helping me be so much more humble with that, especially because it's okay loh, kamu nggak suka sama, it's okay for you to not like my music. And that's fine. It's very subjective. Just music, there's so many out there. Ada orang yang bilang, I nggak suka EDM. Ada satu lagi yang, oh my god, EDM gimana banget. Yeah, again, who am I to say that one is right and one is wrong? It's just a matter of taste. And to be able to grow up and understand that as well, I think it's also part of the reality that we do have to, accept gitu loh maksudnya, bahwa memang di hidup itu banyak hal yang bakal terjadi sesuai dengan apa yang kita mau. Apa yang kita mau kejadian, ada yang kita mau juga kadang-kadang gak kejadian. Dan to be honest ya, memang kalau kita ngomongin soal rejection, do I remember all the rejections? No. I remember I get a lot of rejections. I remember I lost a lot of competitions, but that's okay gitu loh maksudnya. The only thing that matters is that I feel like if you keep going and you try to do your best and you always try to be one step, in one foot in front of another, like ya don't get discouraged so easily and all of those type of stuff. Work hard. Ya nggak boleh juga misalnya kayak ya udah deh, nggak apa-apa deh, and then you just don't want to work anymore. Yeah, of course it's never going to happen gitu loh maksudnya. Tapi I agree, dan to be honest, being in school really helps me see that too. Okay. And it helps me think in larger picture too.
So what would you want to say to people that want to follow your career, your path, studying in the United States, in the musical, classic, something like that? What do you want to say to them?
Whew, man, I say do it. I say work hard. Try your best. Find your passion. Stay true to who you are. I think that's the thing. It's just like, because the road will never be easy. If it's easy, it's not really worth anything, to be honest. Berdarah-darah, berkeringat-keringat, luka-luka, blood, sweat, and tears are real, literally and figuratively. Tapi to me, I do have to say, it's just like trying to go for something that you really love. It really gives meaning and
It's better.
purpose in your life. And if you really, especially if you can do something that you love and create something good out of it, I think udah nggak ada yang bisa ini sih. I used to tell my friends, I was just like, imagine how lucky we are. We get to do the things that we do. Not a lot of people can say that about their life, their day-to-day life. But if you do what you love, you already are udah elite nih gitu istilahnya. You get to wake up every single day doing the things that you love. You make money out of it. You can sustain yourself doing the things that you love. Again, am I going to make more money if I'm a medical doctor? Maybe. But I can eat now, right? I live well. That's enough. I do what I love, make money out of it. That's already good. Number 3, I'm my own agent. I get to work my own schedule. I get to take or not take the projects that I want. That's a luxury. You get to pick and choose what you want to do. That's another luxury. And the 4th one, what I'd like to think, what you do impacts other people in a good way. And I feel like if you already have this 4, what else are you looking for? But then again, I only think of this 4 back when and I think it was only in my later years in the States, because they really tried to make me think about how to be a musician in the 21st century. What does that mean to be a complete musician in the 21st century? It's not the same. The industry is always changing. The market is always changing. Where you live matters. How living in Indo, living in the United States as musicians, 2 very different things. But ultimately, it's just like, if you get to do what you love and you sustain yourself doing it, and you get to get your own time, you have your time for yourself. I still have time to practice now, which is something that I really treasure. Not a lot of people can do that. And then I would like to think that what I do impacts the community in a good way. Then I feel like that's it.
Wow.
Just like,
Okay, so I think I should have asked this question at the beginning, but
It's
I think
okay.
it's so important for because you spent the whole 10 years. It's such
it's a whole 10 years.
long-
I never stopped being in school.
That's oh my god. Okay, so kalau Edith bisa menyebutkan beberapa myth that you want to bust about studying United States, because you get a lot of things, right? A lot of ideas about that. Because right now the people who just listen to us, maybe they start thinking, okay, kayaknya pengen sekolah ke US nih.
Yeah.
Tapi kayaknya informasi di sana kayaknya kok rada-rada gimana gitu loh. So, just because you're an alumni, spend 10 years, myth apa yang pingin kamu bahas sekarang?
Waduh. Apa ya? Well, myth that studying in the US is expensive. Agree.
Yeah.
Memang mahal. Kalau kita ngelihat tuition fee and all of those type of stuff.
Did you pay by yourself or just your parents pay you scholarship?
I never paid for school for the whole
Wow.
10 years. And that's the only
Did
reason.
you get the whole things?
That's the
from
only
scholarship?
reason why I can afford being in the United States for 10 years.
How could that
I was
happen?
always on scholarship.
How could that happen? I mean, is it possible also? for
Bisa
other
dong,
people?
bisa. But ini mungkin balik-balik lagi ke tadi yang kalau di depan aku ngomong soal my dad saying that I have to be one of the best. But I think that was one of the things that he said. Kalau misalnya kamu nggak dapat scholarship, especially doing something as niche as piano ya, gitu loh maksudnya. If you don't get a scholarship, then probably you're not good enough. Maybe you should give up on this dream. But you should, if you are good enough, you should be able to get a scholarship. Then you know that it's that you know that you do belong there. You belong. And again, balik-balik lagi ya, maksudnya Eastman is a more famous, popular, favorite school of music. Texas Christian University is a smaller one. It's in a liberal arts college. So it's not like a Juilliard or it's not a conservatory. It's always a part of a university, which I also like. But the idea of it was that expand your horizon. Just because you don't go to Juilliard does not mean that you cannot go study well.
I get that point.
You know, the myth is just like, this is probably also another myth. It's just like you have to get to all the, you know, the big ones, the Juilliard, Curtis, all of Ivy Leagues. You don't know. And that's also the thing that I believe is just like you find and you make the best opportunities out of what opportunity that, you make all the best, you make the best out of all the opportunities that you're given. I think that's the point. Sometimes people say Ivy League, ayo maunya masuknya ke Ivy League. It's such a huge school. It's really difficult to be the one at a big school. It's, kalau kayak aku dulu pas lagi di undergrad, the school is smaller. But that means what? I have more attention from my professor. I get to work closer to my faculty members. I don't, contoh misalnya, kalau di Eastman, anak undergrad dapatnya aku loh. Anak S3. When I was in undergrad, I nggak pernah dapat TA. Selalu dapatnya adalah directly from the professor.
Wow.
Well, ya mungkin lain profesor yang di Eastman sama, tapi kan it's still you work directly with a faculty member instead of you work with the TA, for example. Jadi yang kayak gitu-gitu tuh kadang-kadang small schools not always provide a lot. And actually you get more opportunities in smaller schools, less competition. For scholarships too. Makanya ini balik-balik lagi ya, maksudnya it all goes into making the most out of the circumstances that you're given. To be honest, kalau misalnya I dulu nggak dapet scholarship, apakah bisa sekolah ke US? I don't know.
It might be.
Or maybe just for an undergrad. I don't know. I probably would not be able to sustain myself for 10 years over there financially ya, gitu loh maksudnya. To be able to sustain myself for 10 years. But another thing too, is just like smaller cities, cheaper living cost. It's not as expensive. Apartemen di Jakarta tuh lebih mahal loh daripada apartemen di Rochester gitu loh. Ini by the way ya guys, tinggal di Amerika mahal. No, apartemen di Jakarta kadang-kadang lebih mahal loh daripada apartemen di sana. So sometimes it's just like it's not always that way. Groceries di sana mahal. Emang ya oke lah kalau groceries mungkin iya, tapi you bisa ngirit-ngirit sendiri. Di mana-mana living cost is always going to be on you gitu kan istilahnya. How much do you want to save? How much do you want to splurge? I think all of those are there, but aduh sekolah di US itu biasanya takut, kita nggak biasa sekolah di sana apa segala itu. I do have to say when I was in the States, I had the best time. I have never been in a university, even walaupun cuma buat audisi, even cuma buat apa, when I was in residency in other universities, I've never met a more welcoming places than universities. It's academic, nothing beats the academic feeling. I feel like when everyone just wants to learn and everyone is so helpful, everyone is so resourceful, dan ini banget sih memang menyenangkan aja. To be honest, up until now I still miss being in school. I still go to the States by the way for summer programs, just because I miss being in school. Iya tapi ya bayangin ya, maksudnya kalau dari kecil sampai umur 28 kerjanya di sekolah, jadi kayak sekarang begitu kita nggak ada sekolah terus kita kayak
gitu, miss dengan
betul. Dan I do have to say I couldn't imagine it in an any better way for my formative years to happen where it happened gitu loh maksudnya. It could have been in any other schools, it could have been with another mentor, but I really think that it was great. I really couldn't think of like, nggak sukanya di US dulu karena ini tuh kayaknya nggak ada deh. Okay. I still miss it even until now. I'm still in FaceTime relationship with my mentors, almost all of them. So and they check up on me. It's like, how's Indonesia? Is there anything that we can help? And all of this type of stuff. It's the friendship and mentorship that I feel like you will have for the rest of your life, and the connection also with your alumni schools and all of those, it's very, very strong. Yeah, and it's amazing. It's the resources that they give you is really amazing.
The last question.
Yes.
What next for Edith?
Well, for now I think I'll do what I can over here, as much as I can. I'm very happy and very content actually with what I'm doing right now over here. I think like we're building a healthy community of classical musicians, educators, the students, the parents, and hopefully music education can be better. And in a lot of ways, I just hope that all of these endeavors, I also know that this type of endeavors that I'm embarking is not something that I can see the result in like short period amount of time. I know that what my values and what my purpose, I feel like it's only going to be seen way far in the future. But I really hope that it's slowly getting there. But yeah, I hope that music education in Indonesia is getting better. I hope that all of the alums from the US, I know there are a lot of Indonesian musicians right now in the States. I hope that all of them think about coming back here, or at least consider partially coming back here. Help me out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's also the thing is like I feel like having your comrades together, like it's a huge camaraderie. Even now with me and a couple of my friends, the ones who came back, I feel like it's so nice to have that support system to create something good together. So yeah.
Wow.
But
Wow.
seriously though, but it's if anyone who's listening to this, if anyone wants to know more about learning music or learning music in the
Just
States,
so happy to help.
yes, please reach out. You can find me on social media, but also through WPTA Indonesia. We have a lot of events. We try to keep the events as much as possible, like accessible for everyone and free of charge. Also, thank you to Ad America and like this all. We look forward also to more collaborations with the U.S. Embassy and American Spaces. But yeah, but I mean, it's great to be able to provide this. Like,
Thank you so much, Eddie, for that, because we think like the voice of alumni is very strong. That's why we need you. We need other alumni as well to share something positive about United States, because as you mentioned, there's so many inspiration, there's so many motivation, dan ini akan bisa jadi referensi pastinya buat teman-teman yang ingin sekolah ke Amerika Serikat. Thank you so much, by the way.
thank you.
Oke, bagi teman-teman yang mendengarkan cerita yang luar biasa dari Edith Widayani ini, memang luar biasa sih ya. Karena dari semenjak awal kita ngomong sampai akhir banyak pesan-pesan yang bisa memberikan sedikit inspirasi. Pastinya juga referensi, karena kalau kita berbicara musik ini sangat niche dan sangat spesifik banget. And if you want to talk a little bit more about the opportunity studying United States for musical arts and performance program, mungkin you can reach out to Edith Widayani. She's so happy to help. Jadi buat teman-teman yang lainnya yang ingin mendapatkan cerita-cerita inspiratif lagi dari another alumni, you should stay tuned di social media kita di Education USA Indonesia. And also we have a lot of the stories of our podcast from the alumni at the Education USA Indonesia at the same account, the same name. All right, my name is Muhammad Iqbal. I'm the host, and thank you so much for Edith Widayani.
Thank you for having me.
Bye bye.